Hi, I'm Wendy Lashewski, and I chose Diary of a Wimpy Kid for my book talk. The author of the book is Jeff Kinney. He's age 44. He originally wanted to be a cartoonist for a newspaper, but he couldn't get syndicated, so he wrote Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And since then, there's been 9 books in the series. He was published in 2007, and he's had 2 Children's Choice Awards, 5 Nickelodeon Awards, been on the New York Times bestseller list, and more. He's published 3 movies, and been published in 45 different languages. This book is good for grades 3 to 8. Why I chose the book is that it's funny, and my son, who is a picky reader, loved them. He bought them all. He read them and reread them, and he's read them with me, he's read them with his sister, and which means it's good for boys and girls. And why I feel that this book is good literature is because it teaches morals. It addresses things like bullying and loyalty and self-esteem and provides opportunity and a funny way to talk about that. It also has good vocabulary, and so I like to think of this book as like dessert with vegetables hidden inside. This book is about Greg Heffley, who is in middle school, and he has a burning desire to be popular. Middle school seems to be quite painful for him, and he gets through it the best way he can. He's definitely not a perfect kid, and some of the things he does is kind of mean, and then he has to make up for it, and he is got a best friend named Rowley, and Rowley is kind of a nerdy, loyal kid who he doesn't treat very well, and he learns a bit about friendship throughout the book. His mom, Susan, and Frank Heffley are pretty normal parents. He tries to pull the wool over their eyes, of course. He has a brother, Roderick, who's in high school, and he has a little brother, Manny, who he finds annoying, who's like preschool. So I'm going to read a portion of the book in its written diary style, and talks about the cheese touch. Wednesday. Today we had phys ed, so the first thing I did when we got outside was to sneak off to the basketball court to see if the cheese was still there, and sure enough, it was. And here is a picture of Jeff and the cheese. That piece of cheese has been sitting on the blacktop since last spring, and I guess it must have dropped out of someone's sandwich or something. After a couple of days, the cheese started getting all moldy and nasty, and nobody would play basketball on the court where the cheese was, even though that was the only court that had a hoop with a net. Then one day, a kid named Darren Walsh touched the cheese with his finger, and that was the start of the thing called the cheese touch. It basically is like the cooties, and if you get the cheese touch, you're stuck with it until it passes on to someone else. The only way to protect yourself from the cheese touch is to cross your fingers. And here is a group of kids running away from the cheese touch. It's not that easy remembering to keep your fingers crossed every moment of the day. I ended up taping mine together so they'd be crossed all the time. I got a D in handwriting, but it was totally worth it. This one kid named Abe Hall got the cheese touch in April, and nobody would come near him for the rest of the year. This summer, Abe moved away to California and took the cheese touch with him. I just hope that somebody doesn't start the cheese touch up again, because I just don't need that kind of stress in my life. Well, of course, the cheese touch comes back, and I guess you're just going to have to read it to find out. Thanks.